Hi everyone, it's Rax. The Abattoir of Zir Diablo 4's first real endgame came out today, and I just spent the last 10 hours blasting it, and I played every single class except for Rogue in the Abattoir so far. I'm on tier 11 in hardcore in solo on a sorcerer without a melted heart, so that's pretty good, I think. Um, but let's just say that the Abattoir has had some mixed reviews. I'm just going to be honest with you. Most of them have been pretty negative. There are some good and bad things about the Abattoir. I'd like to go through and give you my entire feedback that I sent to Blizzard. Just get started. Let's start with the good things. Always like to start with the good. Well, first of all, running around and doing things with no map objective is a lot more fun than freeing 6 prisoners. I think 99% of players would agree with that. There's a big continuous map with no doors, so you're constantly just searching for monsters and fighting. To me, that's a lot more fun than open the door, cloud of fog, 30-second event that doesn't matter, walk through, open the door, fight 2 monsters, go through this hallway. Just moving through is a lot better for me. The density is actually pretty good. Now, this content is dangerous, so yeah, good is a relative term. If there's too many monsters and they destroy you, well, then you lose. But the density is actually pretty good here. They said it was going to be challenging content, and they said we weren't going to be able to beat it, and they did deliver on that. I think the world's highest clear right now is a 16, and that's not a 25. And I don't know if it's going to be even possible to clear a 25 without some super bugged exploity build, as if there aren't bugged and exploit builds in the game already. But it is challenging, and so that's nice. They mixed up the maps and the mob types. This is a breath of fresh air from doing the same nightmare dungeons we do over and over and over. The same layout, the same mob types. On one end, it's nice because you can navigate it quickly. You know exactly what to expect. You can get your glyph XP. But on the other hand, it's just kind of boring. So it's a little bit fresh, to see different combinations in the game. There's no gear that drops in the middle of the run. It drops at the end. That idea is good. You can spend all of your time strategizing, fighting, using the different pylons. How are you going to do this? How are you going to survive the Bloodseekers? And then all of the rewards are at the end. Yes, the rewards at the end are not very good, but the concept of the reward at the end and let you do the fighting in the beginning, I like that. This is really the first event where your gear, your elixirs, the glyph, your spec, how you play actually matters. The whole game is so easy. Almost every build can just massacre Duriel or clear Nightmare Dungeon 100 or kill Lilith once you get up there. Here your decisions matter a lot more, which is a good thing. The glyph XP is good, meaning on the first tier, they give you like 3 times the amount that a Nightmare Dungeon 100, the highest level, would give you. The problem is the glyph itself, the requirements for that are terrible, which we'll get to later. The only nice thing about the Abattoir in terms of rewards is the glyph. That legendary glyph is way better than everything in the game. At least it's supposed to. People are saying that it's bugged with its current multiplier, but it's supposed to be a massive reward. So if they fix that and it goes through how we think it's going to go through, it's like the best item in the game. And then having an end game goal, at least one that they set for us to get the glyph to 50, was a nice idea. They could have had more rewards for clearing level 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's hard to clear these tiers. It would have been nice if you got a reward every time you cleared it, like mounts and titles or something. But at least they had an idea of a goal in this. It's just unobtainable for almost everybody. Get to that in a second. And then one of the disputed things is they have the different shrines throughout the clears, which can alter how you're playing. Now, that allows some shenanigans. Also, gear swapping is another problem, but it allows some shenanigans, like my Bone Spear Necro can't fight Suppressor at the end. So I can spawn the Bloodseekers, then run back to a conduit, click the conduit, and win. Is that good gameplay? Debatable. But it does add some flavor. Some people really like those shrines, so I put it in the good category. Okay, now it's time for the feedback. Stuff we might want to do better on next time, at least in my opinion. First of all, the barrier to entry is too high. Now, they pretty much did deliver on what they said they were going to deliver. They said that the starting level is going to be harder than Nightmare Dungeon 100. So I'm not saying that Blizzard necessarily misled us, but I got so many messages in my chat saying, Rax, I tried level 1 5 times. I'm out of sigil powder. Honestly, I'm really frustrated, and watching you struggle your way up to level 11 doesn't encourage me at all. And I don't even want to play this event, and I'm going to go play PoE on Friday. So I think the starting difficulty, even for an endgame system, should be a little bit lower here. You can make the ceiling as hard as you want, but the barrier to entry I thought was too high here. The glyph that you gave us, where the milestone is trying to get it to level 50 for the increased radius, by my calculations, if you run a level 1, 2.5 minutes with a pretty good build consistently, it's going to take you 325 hours of gameplay, nonstop of doing that to get it there. It's just way too high. It's a mid-season event with only a month and a half left. Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming, PoE is coming, people might try some other things. There is no one who's going to invest 325 hours or anything even close to that to leveling up this glyph. It was just incorrectly calculated. One huge problem that I have really not seen you fixed at all is the glyph isn't account-wide, and people were also complaining that the vampire powers for the season thing were not account-wide. It's just impossible to level more than one of them because it's impossible pretty much to level one of them. And if you had fixed that, if you had fixed the XP, I have all 5 characters. I'm a loser, I get it. But I have all 5 characters ready to go into the Abattoir and push as high as I can. Even if you made it reasonable, like challenging but reasonable to level up the glyph, I would have to do it 5 times because this is not account-wide. I don't think this is good for the game. I don't think it's good because it doesn't allow people to play their alts. So I think Blizzard should change that in the future. Suppressor and Vampiric. Suppressor is the bane of many characters' existences. Imagine playing a Bone Spear Necro, which is one of the best builds in the game, and running into a Suppressor Bloodseeker. There's like only one way to kill him. You have to get him to go by a wall, step into the suppressor, and throw the Bone Spear against the wall so it like ricochets that way. Because if you actually throw it through the bubble, then the ricochets hit the bubble. You only hit him with the Bone Spear and does no damage. That's just one example. Suppressor, as it exists in the current game, in my opinion, does not work at all. It needs either an entire rework or it needs to be removed from the game. The Vampiric, the problem I think is with the scaling of it. So Vampiric, when you're a baby and they're just kind of leeching a little bit of their life, you can kill them. But the vampirism or whatever in the highest levels is these ultimate demons of death just leeching 100% of their HP back again and again and again. They actually can become unkillable. And Waller for Ball Lightning deletes the balls of lightning. That's a really bad thing. Some of the affixes in here just don't work in my opinion. There are a couple monsters in the game that just hit way too hard. The crossbows, the wraiths, those red ghosts, the archers. Man, dude, I'm just getting plowed by these. It's like it's prom night. These mob types, not only in the Abattoir, need to be looked at in the entire game. One thing to look at is disobedience. When one thing in the game becomes too powerful, or every single character bases their character around it, there's probably something wrong, right? Almost every single class, either as its main defensive resource or at least a side grade or something to use if something goes wrong, is disobedience to boost your armor. And one thing is, some classes, like the Ball Lightning Sorcerer, can hit 60 times in 4 seconds. What's the requirement? Hit 60 times in 4 seconds. That's not a problem. But for someone like Hodabarb, not that Hodabarb needs a buff, by the way, but like Hodabarb has a much harder time keeping 60 stacks unless you try to apply a bleed or something with thorns, or you use Berserk Ripping or Sword Technique slot or something. So disobedience might need to be taken a look at, or maybe disobedience is not exactly the problem. Maybe it's armor in general. Bloodseeker damage. I can't tell you. So I was talking to thousands of people all day long. People kept telling me, level 1 is too hard. I'm not going to do it. And the second thing they kept telling me was, Rax, I can clear level 1 just fine. I get to the final Bloodseekers, and they just murder me. These Bloodseekers, on one hand, Blizzard has done a good job. They want to create danger. They want to create challenges, and you want to be afraid of these Bloodseekers. Well, mission accomplished. I'm not going to be able to sleep at night, and neither is anybody else who tried the Abattoir today. But I think they are overtuned. They're just so powerful. I'm afraid of even if I can isolate one Bloodseeker, I am afraid. Usually what I do is I save the last pylon and I kite him back and I try to use that pylon against them. In some ways, you can consider that smart play, but in other ways, I mean, I just don't want to tackle them head on, especially when I'm playing hardcore. They're so deadly. Maybe a little bit overtuned here. So then we're talking about the challenges in the game. It's okay, in my opinion. It's probably something of good design if a bunch of different factors are challenging and not just one thing. But if someone were to sit me down and say, Rax, what's the most challenging thing about the Abattoir of Zir? I would say like the unpredictable one-shots. You're fighting in a room and there's a death explosion that you didn't see. Or the Bloodseeker spawn, you're fighting him, you think you're hanging on, bam, you got one-shotted. Or the crossbow across the room shot you in the face, bam, and one-shot you. That's the thing that I'm the most afraid of. Since I'm playing hardcore, I build extra defensively and I play extra cautiously, which causes me to fail the timer unless I want to take a bunch of risks. Now, maybe what I'm describing is exactly what Blizzard is going for. It's like, that's the feeling that we wanted you to have, Rax. But I have a constant feeling of fear rather than a feeling of bravery. And I don't know. I think that, here's the thing. I think Blizzard didn't want this to happen because in their last campfire, they said that they didn't want this to happen in a different way. They said, we don't want to scale monster damage to a point where you're just getting one-shotted. We want you to be able to play. Well, I see that they kind of did that maybe by lowering the level of how high the monster level increased. We actually thought it was going to be worse. So they toned that down. So the armor requirement goes down. So you think you have a little bit more leeway. But that's not how it feels. All of my characters that I played were armor capped and resistance capped and had a shitload of life. And all of the key defensive powers, usually with perfect rolls, I got one-shotted at least 15 times today. I lost 15 scrolls of escape because of it. There's lag on some builds. I posted a video. It's not just ball lightning. I think rogues with the poison when the dots are all ticking. When the monsters don't die instantly and you grab a big clump of them and you're applying all these damages to them, the damages over time or whatever, the game just can't handle it. There's no point. Okay, now you can make this argument about every video game ever. There's no point to play video games, right? But for this particular thing, there's really no point. Because let's see what you could do. Well, the main milestone that they put in there is get the glyph to 50. You can't do that. You don't have enough time. So you can't do that. You don't earn anything by pushing higher tiers. You don't get a mount. You don't get a title. You don't get cosmetics. There's no leaderboard. There's no new loot. There's no new uniques. Nothing. Unless they hid something in there that I'm not aware of, there isn't any reason to push it. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I don't know of anything that there's no reason to do it. And it doesn't say the tier that you're doing on the UI. Minor problem, but point it out. Doesn't tell you what tier you're doing. Everyone's always asking. The sigil cost is punishing. Okay, so now let's analyze this. So to start in the Abattoir of Zir, you need 800 sigil dust. That's not that expensive. I can forgive that. That's fine. When you complete an Abattoir, you get more sigil dust than you paid. So if you paid 800, you might get 900 for winning. So you can sustain forever, right? Okay, fine. But there's a problem. People don't play perfectly. And the entire point of it is it's an end game that's challenging. So you want to know what happens sometimes? You lose. Especially because if you die once, you have to restart. That's another topic that people wanted me to talk about. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it, but the one death and you're out, well, in hardcore, it's one death and your character goes away. So, that's another thing. Anyway, so My very specific feedback here is it's not that the cost to start was bad. It's not that you didn't build in sustain into the system. It's there. The sustain is requires you to succeed. The moment you start challenging yourself and you try these different things and they don't quite work, if you put in the work to keep going there, you will go bankrupt. Some people did go bankrupt and quit. They said, I'm not going to go farm Whispers or Nightmare Dungeons to get the sigils, to salvage them, to try the Abattoir again. They just gave up. So that's another thing to consider in future iterations. How does the sustain work if things don't go your way? It doesn't work at all in the current version. The glyph XP is the only scaling reward. So when you clear level 1, you get 1,000 glyph XP. You clear level 2, you get 1,400. It goes up, right? Okay, so that's nice. That's the only reward that scales. There's not many rewards to begin with. If you clear a level 1, you get four 900 plus items. And when you clear level 10, you get 4 900 plus items. It seems to be the same thing. If they're supposed to be better, I didn't notice it at all. Doesn't make sense. And it ties into what I said before. There needs to be like mounts and cosmetics and titles for doing well in this event. It needs to be a leaderboard. It would incentivize people to play it. And just one thing, I just want to sneak this into every video I ever put in. I do not understand how this ever happened, how this is in any game ever. It has nothing to do with the Abattoir Zero, nothing to do with Diablo 4. Every game ever made. Why do on-death explosions exist? I understand that the purpose of a game designer is to create challenges and problems for the player to solve, and having fun in solving those problems and conquering them is what makes a fun video game. I don't think you're making any kind of challenge that's fun to solve for players. I won, yay, let me get my loot. Boom. No, you didn't, you died. I hate it. And on-death explosions, especially in the Abattoir, when you're fighting so many powerful monsters. Okay, I'm fighting 6 elites. How am I going to manage this? I'm backing up a little bit. Okay, I can squeeze some damage in right here. I've got a cooldown. Okay, I think I killed some of them. Let me back up a little bit. Dipping and dodging. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Boom. One-shotted. What happened? One of the 6 elites that you were fighting blew up and one-shot you. Stupid. I hate it. Never make a game with on-death explosions. Don't understand it. Anyway, that's my feedback. I sent it to Blizzard. It could have been worse, but people are going to roast me, I think, because maybe being a little bit too nice in their eyes. But this event did not go as well as I hoped it would. But I think, with my feedback and other people's feedback, the whole community's feedback, I think we can do better in future iterations. I'm glad this came in the middle of a season and wasn't like a major release on like a season launch that everyone experienced. It's good to make the mess up here when maybe there's less eyes on it, and we can learn from it and go from there. Anyway, I'm going to be messing around in the Abattoir, I guess, for the next couple of days, and PoE on Friday. People have been begging me to play PoE for a long time. I played once, didn't really try, but I did get my 4 Void Stones. Played a Toxic Rain Pathfinder. My character ruled. I loved it. Did T16 maps. It was good. But I didn't do the Uber bosses. I didn't really learn as much as I could have. This time, I'm going to play for real. I'm really going to try. I'm going to try to make a godly build. I'm going to try to fight the Ubers. So honestly, if you're a good PoE player, if you can stop by and teach me, I'm all ears. I want to learn because I want to get good at PoE 1, and I'm definitely going to put a ton of time into PoE 2. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. That's my feedback that I sent to Blizzard. What do you think? Do you think I'm a stupid idiot? Did I miss anything? If you have any good ideas, post them down below. If I see any good ones, I'll heart it, I'll thumbs up it or something, and I'll share it with Blizzard, and I'll give you credit for it. Thank you.